Yes, tonight's performance of Garage Logic, the understudy.
We're going to start the show now.
What are you waiting for?
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1464. I didn't put the date down.
January 16th.
January 16th, 2025. The high on this day was 46 degrees. That was in 1961. And in 1888, it was 29 below.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
The 25-year-old son of newly elected Congresswoman Gwen Moore in Wisconsin was arrested last Friday by Milwaukee police and later released in connection with the Election Day slashing of tires on 20 vans and cars rented by the Republican Party, according to police records. Sowande Jumoke Omokunde, also known as Supreme Solar Allah,
Or Rick.
arrived at the Milwaukee Police Administration building with his attorney. He was arrested at 9 a.m. and held in the police holding facility for several hours before being released. Omokunde is one of 3 suspects who had been arrested on Friday. Opal E. Simmons III, 33, a veteran Democratic Party activist from Virginia, was arrested and released without being charged. A 24-year-old man was arrested in the same case. Investigators want to talk to Michael Pratt, son of former acting mayor Marvin Pratt, who led Senator John Kerry's Milwaukee campaign, but have not summoned him yet, police sources said. Michael Pratt could not be reached for comment. This is the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. So we got a guy named Supreme Solar Allah.
Yeah.
Jordy says not to be confused with Solar Panel Jimmy.
Right.
Mr. Souchere,
Yeah.
that story's from 2006.
Hold on.
I wondered about John Kerry.
And the update was 2015.
So
You know what, John? You know
Never
what?
mind.
John, you know what I like about you?
Thanks, Jordy.
Your patience really paid off, and I can tell you why.
Why?
You were so patient to let the mayor finish the entire damn
Well,
story.
I could put my hand up and nobody called on me, so I thought I'll wait.
Do we know whatever happened to Allah Solar?
Omokunde was sentenced to 4 months in jail. Pratt and Lewis Caldwell sentenced to 6 months. Lavelle Mohammed sentenced to 5 months, all granted work privileges. They all were also ordered to pay a $1,000 fine in addition to restitution.
And so far they've led exemplary lives and everything's fine.
I haven't done my research quite that deep yet.
I got you. I got you, boss. Here's
I'm
what,
leaving.
Here's what happened. No, Joe, no. You did nothing wrong.
Yes, I did.
Because how many times does KQ get away with playing a Zeppelin song from the 70s? What's the difference?
Right.
I don't think that's an analogy.
Damn it.
Otherwise, we would do this song that story 3 times a day.
Right.
Until
I'll put
the
it in
end
the
of
news.
time. Yeah, just do it every day, John.
Bringing you all the news from 06. Garage Logic.
Supreme Moore Omokundi is an American community organizer and Democratic politician now from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was a member of the Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors from 2015 to 2020. So that's what he's done since.
So
And
he ended up in government, Joe.
The political class has been surrendered to professional activists, whether it's here or Milwaukee or Denver or L.A., whatever.
It's actually good that you read that, because that, to me, I wish it was shocking.
That's why I read it.
See?
It's not shocking.
I
Silver
knew
lining.
perfectly well that was
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1971.
You're so
Right.
smart.
Ahead of the curve.
Joe, I'd like to keep my name private. I'm a longtime listener and a GLer with a cylinder index of 80. I've been an EMT for over 20 years, 10 years on the east side of the cities, and now I'm in western Wisconsin. In both locations, regional EMS has been my overseeing agency. I typically get quarterly training, and the first quarter of 2025 included the dreaded DEI training. I took the training but needed a few pauses and walked around the building for moments during the video. I thought your show could give a good review and critique of it. For myself, I tend to not care who the patient is or what they look like. I worry about, I think we have something coming up on this, Chris, about the EMTs. I worry about what the issues are and getting them the help they need if there is space available, which has been challenging as of recently. Keep up the great show. Thank you. And he linked me to the YouTube video of the painful BS that this guy and other EMT men and women had to go through. And I watched some of it and then said to myself, life is too short for me to watch the rest of this.
Got it.
And stop. But I now have the latest from Los Angeles regarding their fire department and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And should I announce that it's real or satire?
It's up to you.
Let's play
Real or satire?
The reality is that you're not one of the boys who have legs. You'll never be one of the boys who have legs. But you can be a good firefighter. People see you and they're like, wow, look at you, you know? They're so excited. Like, he's a firefighter and he's got no legs. Because there's not a lot of us for some reason. Probably racism. If you're also a member of the legless community, you want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's medical call or fire call, somebody that looks like you and also doesn't have legs that work. It gives that person a little bit of more ease knowing that this person might understand their situation a little better. People love that I'm a wheelchair firefighter going around the community kicking butt. I mean, not literally because of the legs that don't work. It's a metaphor. Every time you see a firefighter in a movie or show, they have legs and they're walking. The media plays such a big role in everybody's lives now that it's so powerful for people to see a positive, uplifting portrayal of a firefighter that's just rolling around. If you start thinking about the leg challenge, you think of desk jobs, you think of any job that you have to sit for a long time. You think about somebody who might be a headmaster for a school for gifted youngsters. But you wouldn't think of a firefighter when it's something that is actually a reality for many of the unlegged community. You can't be it if you can't see it. And so that's why it's so important for young members of the leg-free community to see us riding around on fire trucks. Plus, it's fun. Is he strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry me out of a fire? Or does he have enough legs for this? Which my response is, you got yourself in the wrong place if you need me to wheel you out of a fire. It's basically your fault. I was the first paraplegic person to be promoted to the rank of battalion chief. With each promotion, more eyes come on you, more scrutiny. They want to know, does he know what he's doing? Does he keep his crew safe? Can he get into a house that has more than a moderately sloped ramp? Some people walk in with the respect already, but as a person born with leg deficiency, you have to know your stuff. You're not given the opportunity not to know it. Not given, you have to know it. When it comes to the walking impaired and being a firefighter, you're capable of doing it. It's not a bipedal normative person's world. It's not a bipedal normative person's field. I'm here, I'm a man, and I'm doing it.
Wow. Is that real or satire?
Is that real or satire?
That's absolutely real. I'm going with real.
It's accompanied by a video. It's not real. I think it's the bee, isn't it?
It's the Babylon Bee.
The Babylon Bee.
And it's truly well done. And I hope our GLers who are in wheelchairs are laughing. I'm sure they are. And they'll even laugh harder when they see the video where he's trying to get in a house.
Can't get over the
He
threshold.
can't get over the sill of the
Well, there was that one, and when he's got the hose,
Yeah.
and he wheels up to the hydrant,
Yep.
but
He can't function too well.
he can't get past the curb, so he can't reach.
Oh my God.
The giveaway
I don't think I can watch it.
was when he was quoting that lesbian fire gal.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Who
This was all a
chastised-
send-up of the
was-
real
yeah.
video that
She was
circulated earlier.
But when
victim
you-
blaming.
Kenny, I'll post this to the show page so people can watch it. But when you watch the video, it'll have graphics of varying statistics, and one of them is 99.9% of firefighters have at least 1.99 legs.
Yeah.
The guy was great. I knew it was satire because he was great at delivering a couple lines in there
Oh,
that
yeah.
were funny as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really going to kick butt.
No, that's
because
Rolling around.
That's a metaphor.
Rolling.
That's a
metaphor.
That's a
People
metaphor.
like to watch us roll.
Right.
And then he comes up to this poor family that's just lost their house, and he's, hey, giving them a high five.
Hey.
But here's the deal.
What's the deal?
How long were you into it before you realized it was the bee?
When you sent it to me this morning, and I started to watch it, I didn't see the little graphic in the corner.
Neither did I.
And I thought 100% it was real.
I thought it was real.
For the
That's
first-
where this country is today.
Yep.
I thought it was real. Well, I mean, at some point, I said to myself, well, this can't be real.
Right.
But I went for it hook, line, and sinker until I realized, no, it's got to be a production, and it was brilliant. But that's not. This guy in Western Wisconsin who sent the email about having to take a break to go outside and just clear his head, watching this DEI BS. We're not far from this.
Nope.
And God bless you if you have lost the use of your legs. I'm not suggesting, but you know what? I would think most people who've lost the use of their legs would agree that they probably wouldn't make very good firefighters, right? I mean, I think that's okay to say, isn't it? Or am I being too insensitive?
I don't think so. But I think we're the wrong people to ask.
Yeah, it depends on
Yeah.
who you talk to.
God almighty. Downing wants to know, speaking of this whole staying on topic, what happened to the importance of being the first? Isn't Lisa DeMuth the first black woman Speaker of the House in Minnesota? Shouldn't we be celebrating? If DFLers refuse to vote for her, doesn't that make them racist? Is that why they don't show up? Because the DFL is racist? You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, the Strib and NPR and all their fellow travelers would be spinning the story that way. Remember, according to them, Kamala didn't win because of racist, sexist, garbage voters. Downing, offsite correspondent. Well, he's right. He's right. Now, she's joining us today. We're going to try again.
Yes, that is the plan.
But she's busy. The schedule today is try to have, well, again, it's a podcast. Well, you care what time it
Right.
12:45 if you're listening live.
That's actually worth talking about, Joe, because how do the Democrats treat black Republicans?
Horribly.
Yeah, I mean, think about how Kendall was treated.
Look, the DFL is trying to pull an insurrection here. They're cheaters, they're liars, and they're doing everything they can to maintain their trifecta. End of bleeping story. And do you know that we're paying for this? The taxpayers are paying for this. Taxpayers are on the hook for most of the costs over this war for controlling the House. I'm going to read a piece by Corin Hogard from the local Fox 9. Every lawyer's fee and everything else we have to pay for. Well, of course, we had to pay for this DFL, was it a House member, a Senate member who sued her private employer? We had to
Right.
pay for that. Mm-hmm. The first order of business for House Republicans yesterday was responding to a pair of petitions filed at the state Supreme Court. One from the Secretary of State and the other from 3 House DFL leaders. The DFL is panicked that they can't maintain their trifecta and continue to ruin this state because of their aspirational whimsy. We need outside counsel that represents us as a House after we're sworn in. Representative Elliot Angren, Republican, White Bear Township, will pay for that. Representative Angren was acting as Rules Committee chair in place of Harry Niska, Republican of Ramsey, when they voted to have the state pay for 3 attorneys to represent them. All 3 are partners of counsel for Crosscastle, where Niska is a partner. Well, this is absurd, said Representative Jamie Long, DFL, Minneapolis, who chairs the Rules Committee and last session and is expected to co-chair at this biennium. I mean, so they are not only engaging in illegal activity, but they are now using their fake committees to pay themselves. Niska said the work would be separate from his firm and denied any impropriety. I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
They're all taking us to the cleaners. Every one of them. Dig deeper. DFL members are paying for their own lawyers from campaign funds. But taxpayers will fund the Minnesota Secretary of State's petition because the Attorney General's office is representing him. Taxpayers are already paying every single member of the legislature, whether they're at the Capitol or not. I think every day that we have this illegitimate and illegal proceedings going on is a disservice to Minnesotans who just want to see us get back to work, said Long. What's next? The Republican House proceeded in the half-filled room yesterday. They elected a chief clerk and a sergeant of arms who leaders may now ask to bring Democrats to the Capitol. Also on the table, stopping per diem or salary payments to absent members. We're going to consider all of our options as we see Democrats continue to break the law and not show up for work, said Niska. Quorum conundrum. Democrats are hoping a Supreme Court ruling comes soon. They've asked the justices to decide whether a quorum requires 68 or 67 members of the 134-member body. Okay, but how many Republicans are there? 67?
Yep.
Well, isn't that a quorum? There ain't nobody else there.
Well, they keep saying it's got to be 68.
Secretary of State Simon, that's 68 if the whole full House is seated.
Correct.
Secretary of State Steve Simon planned to come to the Capitol every afternoon until he saw a quorum, which he insists is 68. But he didn't show up Wednesday. And even if he tried to, House Republicans told him he would be denied.
Access denied.
Not wanted.
Yeah, see?
Delete.
It's not a scam. Well, I don't know what the word is. It's all irresponsibility. How does Jody Harpstead, the outgoing head of Department of Human Services, get to walk away?
I don't understand that.
She gets to walk away. And there's a late story in Alpha News about a DHS insider claiming that this fraud is not only rampant but systemic in the Department of Human Services. And whoever this whistleblower is said 90 to 99% of offenders didn't just commit fraud once. They've done it multiple times because they get away with it, the source said. And there are thousands of cases from 2020, 2021, and 22 that haven't even been touched. But Jody Harpstead, just like Heather Mueller before her, another Wall's choice, they're just going to go to the lake cabin.
Yeah, but now
what the hell is this?
But now we got the fraud team that Walls assembled that's going to crack down.
But you're going to need a fraud team to examine the fraud team.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. An anonymous Minnesota Department of Human Services insider has come forward with claims of systemic problems over the agency's ability to address fraud. This is exclusive with Alpha News. I'd prefer that the fellow... Why doesn't the fellow or gal be named? What difference does it make at this point?
Is that
You're not going to suffer any consequences.
No, but it might be a safety concern.
Could be. That's a good point.
Thank you.
The source alleges that DHS restricts fraud investigations to a narrow time frame, which allows large amounts of taxpayer money to go unrecovered. Say you get a complaint that John is committing fraud in December of 2024. They only allow investigators to look at the fourth quarter of that year, October, November, and December, the source said. It's not that hard to dig deeper, but the reason I was given is that they don't have enough staff for prolonged investigations. Well, maybe that's why we got a new fraud in bureaucracy now. The source estimated that fraud in DHS programs is far more pervasive than publicly acknowledged. You know, the people who keep voting these people in, it would be my suspicion that they don't care about all of this money that's been taken.
Right.
Because they have no horse in the race. They're not heavily invested in paying for this state. So they see this happening. It really doesn't impact them.
Yeah, it's like monopoly money.
It's the same with the people who want to fill in the ravine that holds Highway 94 between Minneapolis and St. Paul. They want to fill it in. It's Our Streets Minneapolis. We went through that group once.
Yeah.
None of them are invested in keeping the machinery of commerce running. None of them are. None. Zero.
Joe, only 167,000 people use that daily. Come on, man.
It is admittedly getting harder and harder to come to grips with this. We're governed so poorly that we're leaking money. The individual taxpayers' money is going disappeared. And Walz has even dragged up his excuse again in this Alpha story that, well, we just have a culture of too much generosity.
Oh, we're very generous, Joe.
You
Don't call me a you.
don't
you.
call me.
Yeah.
you. And so again, what could Jody Harpstead be guilty of? I'll continue to think she's not putting money in her pocket. I'll continue to think that. I think that she's gotten so much money anyway, paid and vacation and health insurance and whatever. She's so handsomely paid anyway that what she's really guilty of is not being competent.
We can relate.
And apparently that's not a crime.
Or is she guilty of ignoring it? Because if this insider, this source, knows all about it, why wouldn't she?
That's a good point.
Because that means that she has to consciously be aware of the thefts, the repeated thefts. Do you think she has been consciously aware of repeated thievery?
And what I'm saying is
Maybe
yes.
I'm being naive here.
I'm saying yes, and the reason she hasn't brought it up is because it shines a bad light on her and the DHS.
But if she did bring it up, I suspect that she would not suffer any consequences.
Of course not.
But either way, she's not going to suffer consequences.
Was Heather Mueller consciously aware of the thievery involving food fraud?
I don't know how she couldn't be aware of it, but I can't answer that.
Because she was quickly snapped up in another job for some so-called educational consultant firm that came in through the back door and got a very handsome contract for educational materials to be used in state prisons. They don't suffer consequences, and they all land on their feet.
I wish I had that deal.
Does anyone want to join me in not paying your taxes?
Well, everybody does, Joe, but you know the consequences there.
But they couldn't jail 600,000 of us.
I told you that one or 2 years when I put off, I took an extension out, paid my taxes in, I don't know, July or August, and I forgot to pay the anywhere from $25 to $50 fee for taking out the extension. I got a letter from them, the Minnesota Department of Revenue, saying they were going to take my wages, they were going to take my house, they were going to take my property, all for a sum less than $100.
Because everything is upside down, and we've said before, when the government is dealing with other government entities, anything goes. When the government is dealing with the citizens of the state or the country, nothing goes. You are nailed to the wall instantly. Government entities going back and forth and allowing fraud to take place, they're not held responsible. Maybe it's different in Sioux Falls. We keep getting great information on Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We already know that South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country. There's no state corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what you can achieve in an environment where you're actually respected, where they care about you. They got tax friendliness, hardworking people. They got doctors there, healthcare. Mm-hmm. They got orchestras and parks and golf courses, and it's a metro
restaurants.
It's a good food town. Yep. The metro area of Sioux Falls is almost 300,000 people. It's one of the 50 best places to live for families. The fastest growing Midwest metro. The point is, if you're fed up with this state, I don't know how anyone cannot be. I'll miss you, but it's a podcast. You can listen to us anytime you want. And if you want more information on relocating to Sioux Falls or maybe starting a new wing of your business in Sioux Falls, entrepreneurs are welcome. Go to SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. That's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
The only way this can end, this being endless fraud and equally endless forgiveness of it by government entities and officials who suffer no responsibility or any consequences, is the deliverance of an entirely new cast of candidates. The time to, it has not served this country well to have turned over the political class to professional activists. It has not worked. It does not serve the country well at all. And I know on this team here in GL, you're saying to me, good luck, you don't think that will happen. That's what all of Minneapolis is up to. We're probably too conservative for all of Minneapolis to want to become part of, because they don't respond to my willingness to give them time on the air. But that's what they're up to. They're trying to find candidates, admittedly DFL candidates, but I'll take a DFLer who has actually had a job and has kids and is worried about the streets and safety and takes care of the people's business. These people are only there for themselves.
There's more of that type of Democrat that you're discussing versus the kinds that are running the kind that are running the city council.
Minnesota is a pathetic mess.
You realize they've got no shot, don't you?
Well, that attitude has to change. I'll work for one. I don't live in Minneapolis, but I'll be glad to if I find a candidate there running for office who meets a GL criteria. I'll be glad to walk neighborhoods for you. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm gonna have a different attitude than it can't happen.
Well, one of the great things about the Democratic Party is they don't really throw each other under the bus unless it's primary time. Then they do it readily. But they don't throw each other under the bus, and that's why I don't think this thing in Minneapolis is going to go anywhere, because they'll just be routinely ignored by the party.
Who's that little pipsqueak that Latricia Vitaw threw under the bus?
Yeah, little guy.
Is that Philippe?
Philippe
Cunningham.
Cunningham. Well, there
Yeah.
was a Democrat who threw another Democrat under the bus, and God bless her for doing it. That little pipsqueak shouldn't have had a job in office.
And the thing you said before we went to the break about the country being run by, what did you say, volunteers or activists? It's working out pretty well for them.
Well, yeah, but not for the citizenry. Not
Well,
for the
the
citizens of Los Angeles.
The citizenry is divided almost 50-50.
Yeah, it's not working out then, Kenny, for half the people.
I am not on their side, Joe. I'm just trying to explain to you how they feel.
And I don't know if what happened in Los Angeles has awakened them or not. I hear many people predicting that if Gavin Newsom ran today, he'd get reelected.
Wow.
Or if not him, then Harris.
They are mad at the mayor. They're very angry. At the
I
mayor.
would think she's done.
Yeah, that might be, run out of town on a rail.
But she's
Anger.
a professional Marxist by her own admission, her allegiance to Fidel Castro, for God's sakes.
Did you see the interview with the firefighter? Was that you
Which firefighter?
the one that just basically broke down on camera?
I
Saying,
did not.
I believe it was CNN, and he just essentially said, we had no shot. We were warning that this is going to happen, that we're understaffed. We've got vehicles that can't even be worked on because there's no money. It's just...
Corolla has been covering this daily. If you're interested in that, you could spend a few minutes with Adam every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The professional activists who have taken over the political class, and I count both parties, have ignored, I had this soliloquy, let's have it again. They've ignored the foundational truths of the American society we know, and the American society we have decided is being replaced by the mystery. The mystery being the creation of a country that you don't know or recognize. And they're doing so in the corrupted ideological belief that the country they believe is not a fair place.
Okay.
That it was founded with flaws, that authority in and of itself is merely an affectation of patriarchy, that if you work for someone, you're automatically subservient to authority, that's unfair, and they're unwilling to acknowledge that American society offers the world the best bet for avoiding poverty, but that's rapidly disappearing. And they have no interest, once taking office, they have no interest in maintaining anything that smacks of American convention or tradition, because that's what they would like to undo. Whether it's an elected official or an unelected official, like these people who populate our streets, Minneapolis. They're merely products of a failed academy. They have no interest in pursuing capitalism, and they have no interest in maintaining the infrastructure and machinery that allows commerce to exist. Let's fill in 94 and imagine it with trees and flowers and and rickshaws.
Let's tell the GLers about this, because like you said off the air, it's way too long to read on the air. But GLers, if you're interested in filling in the trench and the comedy that is, go to the MinnesotaReformer.com. It's an online newspaper, mostly working for the left. And there's a commentary letter from a guy named Joe Harrington, who writes a letter. It's called A Letter to Highway Removal Skeptics.
And
Your
he's
questions
with All
answered.
Streets, Minneapolis.
Yeah. And he admits that people are calling him crazy. And it's the funniest thing I've read in a commentary in a long time. It is so ridiculous. This guy, oh my God, he's so dumb. Oh my Lord, he's just not
Well, I'll read you a
smart.
paragraph to show you what they're up with. On a
Yeah,
more
do it.
basic level, this fear, meaning the fear of filling in the trench, points to Americans' deep-seated love affair with the automobile. Owning a car pushed by car companies and pop culture. I have never felt that I've owned a car because I was pushed by pop culture.
Pop culture?
Never felt that.
I've never felt that either.
But this fellow does. Pushed by car companies and pop culture and enabled by urban planners and transportation agencies, has come to represent personal freedom. It also shows how cars can dominate transportation investments, leaving many with little option but to drive, to reach opportunities and daily needs. Yeah, that's the way it works, Joe. That's exactly the way it works. And you don't like the way it works. You don't have any investment in how things work, but you want to tell us how it should work to accommodate your paltry contributions to how things work. You know that removing highways is possible because a number of cities have done it. Since 1987, more than 20 highway sections have been removed in other cities around the country. Detroit, Rochester, New York, San Francisco. Well, a study by Our Streets and national experts at Visible City and Smart Mobility demonstrates that highway removal is practical. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's ridiculous.
That's wasteful.
My favorite paragraph, and I talked about this with you off the air, while 137,000 vehicles use 94 daily. Now, he just picked that out of his behind. That's an average because my number says 114,000 to 167,000. So fine, let's settle on 137. They use 94 daily. The data reveals a truth. Most trips are local, averaging 4 miles in length. Now, pay attention here. Only 39% are commuters. And what was that, Chris? 5,200, something like that, when we did the math?
I'll do it again, but yeah.
A mere 5% are long-distance travelers who could easily use 494 or 694. And what happens when you take the long route, Joe? You use more gas.
Right.
And what does using more gas do to the environment?
Well, it doesn't do anything, but according to them, it does.
Exactly. So he doesn't realize it, but he just windmilled himself in one simple paragraph.
Right.
It's actually just shy of 51,000.
So you're going to, 51,000. So you're going to put 51,000 people on either University or on Marshall or taking the long way around. If you're from Woodbury, you're going to go 694 up to 35W or 94. That's the long way around.
If you live in Minnetonka, how are you going to get to a Wild game?
Ooh. Maybe light rail by that time.
Leave early.
Yeah, you have to cross the river a couple times.
You're going to either sit on the crosstown or you're going to sit in traffic on the strip.
Well,
The strip is the worst.
It's the worst.
this is what happened. Well, but here's the problem. Now, this character is unelected, and fortunately, not many people are really taking him seriously. The Minnesota Department of Transportation is not taking him seriously, but he continues to hector his beliefs. The problem is he is taken seriously by the professional activists who get elected.
Right.
Now, he doesn't happen to hold a political office, but he might as well, because he has the ear of these DFLers, for example, who are currently hiding in their basement.
Right.
Because they're pouting because they don't have a trifecta.
And
They have no interest in doing your work. None. Zero.
And that's what we're paying him to do.
And their goal is to get rid of cars. Let's face it, and get rid of commuters. They don't want you living in Woodbury and working in downtown Minneapolis. They want you living in downtown Minneapolis and working in downtown Minneapolis.
What if I wanted to live in downtown Minneapolis and work in Woodbury?
Oh, my goodness. That's just as evil. What's wrong with you? You need a car to do that.
Yeah, quit stop with your ideas.
Wait a minute. Bike paths.
People should watch the series called Landman.
I thought you didn't like it.
I love the Billy Bob Thornton character. Oh. He is a landman, which apparently what are these oil guys are called,
right?
Landmen. If for no other reason than to hear the occasional speeches he delivers to this uptight, gorgeous female lawyer who's a word I can't say. And his last one was, why don't you get rid of your Mercedes and start driving this bicycle?
Is she acting like one?
Yes. And it's wonderful, wonderful speeches every once in a while in the episode. And some of the episodes are over the top. Billy Bob character's wife and daughter are completely over the top. They're I don't know why they're there, except they're fun to look at.
Eye candy.
Yeah, they're just there. But the oil part of the series is just fantastic. It's just fantastic. And I can find no falsehood in it. Everything he says is right on the money.
Yeah.
The first season, I assume there's going to be a second season. I have no idea.
It's questionable at the moment.
Okay.
Apparently, they're not getting good numbers.
Really?
I just read about that. Well, I quit watching it after about 4 episodes.
Because of the women part?
No, just because I thought the whole plot was...
Yeah. Well, I'm fine with the plot because...
Billy Bob was great.
Yeah. The basic plot is the oil men up against a drug cartel. That's the basic plot. Yeah. But for fun, you got the gals at the country club.
Have you seen the disclaimers the oil industry now runs during this show?
I haven't.
They run a little. This isn't how it really is, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah. The gal, the female lead, Billy Bob's gal. You'll know this because she's also from John's favorite movie, Billy Madison. It's Adam Sandler's girlfriend.
I've never seen Lardner? Billy Madison. I confess.
I'll say
I've not seen that movie.
Veronica Vaughn.
I haven't either.
Va-va-voom.
No, her name's Allie Lardner.
Well, that was her character name in Billy Madison.
Oh. You want to take a break?
I do. But first, I want to tell you about North American Banking Company.
I hope you do it with some breath. Take some breaths.
With some breasts?
Breaths.
Either way, they'll take your money. No. Here's the deal. They are the official bank in Garage Logic. And you know what? I really enjoy going into any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations because here's the deal. They separate themselves from the other big national banks because they take the time to get to know you, your family, your business, and your financial needs. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. I go between Roseville and 50th in France, but you can also see North American Banking Company in Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. Check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Locally owned and operated. That's key because loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
I was at work.
Thank God.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Joining us is Speaker DeMuth. Oh, I'm sorry, DeMuth. Are you, Lisa, are you at the Capitol?
I am.
And we understand that the budget was, Walz's budget was just released. I'm it literally 45 minutes ago. You must be aware of that.
I knew that it was coming out, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. I've been in meetings all day and joined you, so I wouldn't do a no-show again.
Right.
Joined you on your program today, and I'll be taking a look at it as soon as I'm done. What we know, though, right now is that there were tax hikes, and that is off the table. Nobody needs more taxes.
No, we don't.
In Minnesota.
Lisa, are any Democrats at work today?
No, this is day 3, Joe, of Democrats choosing to skip work because they don't like simple math.
Mm-hmm.
And simple math says that House Republicans have 67 members right now. Democrats have 66 members. We went ahead and organized the House as we can do. And apparently Democrats aren't going to show up until we treat them as if they have 67 back to a tie, which they're not, or until after the Roseville election of the guy that didn't live in his district.
Right.
Until they think they will win that. Maybe they will, but that seat right now belongs to the voters. So Democrats apparently don't want to show up until after that election.
Are you prepared to not be the speaker if it ends up 67-67?
Right now, we organized the House. House Republicans showed up to do the work of the people on Tuesday at noon. We were called into the seat of government to swear in and take the oath of office, and we did that. There's a few other times in history that a speaker was elected. That was what was done. The House Democrats, if and when they choose to come back to work, they will not have more votes than 67, and so I will be the speaker for 2 years. That was the thing that they were most concerned about.
But there would have to be some sort of what's called power sharing. Is that correct?
When we thought initially that there was a tie right after the election, former speaker, but Representative Hortman and I sat down and we started working on a power sharing agreement.
All right.
We came up with committees. We came up with co-chairs. We really wanted to do the work that would be an equal 50-50 because that's where we were at the time. Since that time, the court decided that Curtis Johnson, the guy from Roseville, but he's really not from Roseville, he just ran for that seat,
right,
that he could not take the oath of office. So right now, legally and as addressed by the courts, there are only 133 members in the House of Representatives. That allowed us to get to work. A majority is 67 of 133, and so that's why we organized. As far as will there be a power sharing once they come back to work and if they return to 67, those are conversations that will absolutely continue on if they want to come to work.
By what logic does Walz call a special election to accommodate the fact that Curtis Johnson cheated? Why wouldn't in the real world, why wouldn't the seat be held by the second place finisher? I mean, we have ranked choice voting that it results in that kind of stuff all the time.
Well, we don't have ranked choice voting. That would have made it complicated or a little bit better.
Right.
Either way, it does say in the case of an election contest that in this case, the guy lost. So there is an open seat. And then it is up to the governor to actually call for a special election. I'll answer in a minute, though, why we saw it differently at his timing of calling that special session.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, the special election.
Is Walz tearing what little hair he has out, worried that he's going to lose the trifecta?
Governor Walz has already lost the trifecta with House Republicans coming in with 67 on election night. They apparently don't want to acknowledge that, but the trifecta in the state of Minnesota has been completely broken.
Good.
And we're ready to get to work for the people of Minnesota. The way that the law prescribes the governor being able to call a writ of special election is he was supposed to have done that 22 days after the day that the legislature convened. So we came in on January 14th. He was not even supposed to call for the election until February 5th. He called it. He said that the guy resigned his seat, which he never even held because he wasn't eligible to hold it. That seat was held by that current representative, Jamie Becker-Finn. It was not vacant. Either way, the governor went ahead and called for that election on January 28th. Yesterday on the House floor, we had a motion, a resolution that went forward saying, we understand the people of Roseville deserve to have a representative, even though they've been lied to and they're without a representative right now. So we went ahead and waived any further actions by the House, agreeing that let's just get that election done and get someone seated. Maybe the new person that is seated will actually want to come to work because the other 66 Democrats don't want to come to work.
Why did Walz get it? In other words, Walz got away with it because you guys acquiesced to it.
No, he did it, and we just agreed, since we were organized and ready to go, that wasn't the fight that made the most sense. It would have pushed it off a couple of weeks. We could have pushed it in court. That's not good use of taxpayer dollars to spend time in court. And so we just decided we're organized, get that election done, and let's move forward.
It's an unbelievably, it almost seems like a childish mess. Democrats hiding in their basements, claiming that they're doing the work of the people. The only thing that will bring them back, apparently, is a DFL victory in Roseville.
That, and the other thing that Representative Hortman said would bring them back is if we went ahead and did an equal power sharing right now, even though there is not a tie. What I would say is, originally when we were having those first power sharing discussions, I really thought that maybe Democrats and Republicans could finally work together. But what we have seen in the actions by the Democrats in the state of Minnesota and in the House right now, and the governor supporting the actions of no showing for work by the House Democrats, what that shows me is that even if we had gone into a good faith agreement with an equal power sharing, I don't know how true they would have held toward that for the next 2 years if they didn't like the direction some things were taking. It's such a power grab. They've had full control of the state for the last 2 years. I think the reality that they are no longer under a trifecta is hitting them hard, and they are doing everything else to avoid it and to throw a fit about it and not show up, temper tantrum.
I don't know how I'm supposed to look at it any other way. That seems to be exactly what it is, and I don't know how I'm supposed to, what the citizens are supposed to think, because they're not there. Can you make laws without them there?
We do need 68 votes to pass bills, but right now what we're doing is we can have committee hearings, and we've got bill introductions that are coming today. And Joe, those bills are the common sense things that Minnesota wants, that there's no additional tax increases, that we're stopping the fraud and putting things into place that will actually stop the fraud from happening that Governor Walz has just let go constantly. We want to make sure our kids in school can actually read at grade level, because right now only half of them can. We want to reduce a lot of those mandates that are on businesses that are killing our businesses. That's the work that our committees are doing right now. Those are the bills that are going to be introduced, and we want to work for the people of Minnesota. So although we can't pass a bill off the House floor right now, we definitely can do the preliminary hearings and bill introductions that we've been sent to this place by the voters of Minnesota to actually do.
I think the citizens of Minnesota would like to know how Walz can get away with this. What has to happen for Walz to be responsible for the fraud that's taken place and continues to? Apparently, he just skates through it.
He really does. And when you look at every single one of the agencies, every one of the commissioners, he's held no one accountable for it. And
Jody Harpstead gets to resign now from the Department of Human Services.
That interesting?
Just like Jody Mueller, what's her name? Heather Mueller walked out of the Department of Education. Well, we're tired of that.
So here's the thing that we can do when it comes to the fraud. As House Republicans, as we were setting up the committees, we wanted to make sure that we were addressing the fraud, not just talking about it or admiring the problem, but we went ahead and set up a fraud and agency oversight committee.
Right.
We have stacked that committee. So there will be 5 Republicans, 2 Democrats if they ever show up for work, but that committee itself has subpoena power. So we can bring in commissioners and bring in agencies and hold them accountable for the fraud, saying, you have this much fraud in your department. What are you doing to stop it? Because there's been recommendations from the OLA. The OLA is an Office of Legislative Auditor. It's nonpartisan. They've identified the fraud. They've given recommendations of changes that could be made. What we've seen in most cases of fraud, over 13 known areas of fraud just since Governor Walz took office in 2019, completely unaccounted for. The OLA has always put in recommendations of changes to be made. What we've seen, though, in most of those reports is there's a lack of internal controls. And I mean, I come from business owners, and when there's a lack of internal controls, you change the people that are making the decisions.
I couldn't agree
At
more.
first, that is just minimum of what you start to do.
Yeah. When they return, presumably they will, you fully expect to remain Speaker of the House?
I will remain Speaker of the House for the next 2 years. Yes, I will. I'm willing to work with my Democrat colleagues if they're willing to show up for work and be reasonable.
Right. I hope you survive or succeed in that belief, but I can't believe they'll come back and accept you as Speaker.
They don't have a way to reject me.
Oh, good.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm a hardworking legislator that just wants to do the right thing for the people. I am not unreasonable. I have been well respected up until I didn't give them the exactly what they were asking for that was not even in existence. They've filed 2 lawsuits against us. The Secretary of State filed a lawsuit, and the Melissa Hortman and Jamie Long, they filed a lawsuit against me. That'll go to the Supreme Court next Thursday, so a week from today.
Kenny, did you have something?
I do, and I don't know if you can answer this, Speaker, but the allegations about Johnson's residency actually came to light in October before the election. And even Gottfried, the guy who's now going to run in his place, knew about this before the election. So if he knew, all of the Democrats knew. Why didn't they step in and fix this before the election? What were they thinking?
You know, that's a great question, why they didn't do the right thing right on. I don't think that they thought they were going to get caught. You know, we had concerns. Our candidate over there, Paul Wickstrom, was doing a lot of hard work with his volunteer committee. He was trying to get the voice and the vote of the voters there. They were doing the other work and coming up with proof. And except for him really pushing through and saying, no, there's really something to this, this would have gone unnoticed. As Republicans, when we have people that are running for office, that's one of the first questions that I ask as we start moving through the process is, do you live in your district? Because it's the law.
It's so simple.
It's not a hard thing. The other thing, Kenny, I think you'll appreciate so the Democrats held their endorsing convention for this new candidate that they're going to be running in the special election. Now, I can't confirm it, but a Google search will kind of show you that the location that they held their endorsing convention was not in the district that is taking place. It was back over in Little Canada where Curtis Johnson lives.
You can't make this up. Oh, my word.
So look at it like this. Is that illegal? Probably not. Is it ridiculous and not actually recognizing common sense? Absolutely.
Wow. And saying ridiculous is being kind. I would say it's stupid.
Lisa, what's the rest of your day like? More meetings?
So I've got a couple of more meetings, and then we're back on the House floor at 3:30 today. We will have our bill introductions. We'll gavel in, and we'll move through the business of the day, and then we will adjourn when that work is completed. And finished with the work of the people.
Lisa, I do like the fact that we took precedent over you looking at Walls's budget first. We really do appreciate that part.
Yeah, good luck muddling through that. Ugh.
Not a problem.
Do you have an expectation as to a timeline as to when they will come back? The Dems.
We've heard rumor of that they'll come back after the special election. They don't want to walk in with less than 67. I'll tell you a little bit why I believe they're doing that. In the news, in the media, on Twitter, wherever, you're going to see House Democrats saying they'll only come back if Republicans will agree not to do anything with their candidate over in Shakopee that won by 14 votes and 20 of those votes or ballots were thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
That court case came through just about 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning.
Right.
So we have said all along that every vote needs to count. There was obviously gross mishandling of ballots and votes in the Shakopee area in that race. The fact that the court found that the seated representative now, Tabke, can take office and that, that it's fine. Don't worry about the 20 votes. We still have concerns about that because the way that went through the court process, there are definite concerns. The Democrats right now are saying, well, we're only going to come back if you promise you won't do anything. The reason we would actually have the ability to do things is in law, it says that the House is the one that has the responsibility and oversight of the eligibility of its members. Technically, we could hold a hearing in the House and vote then to either unseat that representative because of the election concerns and have a new election, which the governor would have to call, but it would be vacant. Or we could choose to do nothing with it. So we have not said, no matter what, when Tabke comes in, we're getting rid of him. We have not said that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the noise, the shiny object story. That's the noise that the Democrats are saying, we're not coming back unless you promise us. What they're not saying is we had a guy in Roseville cheat the system, lie, couldn't take office. We have a vacancy there because of that. And so we're not coming back until we win that seat back. That's really what they mean, even though they're saying something a little bit distracting.
Yeah, I don't envy you. You and the fellow Republicans have a lot of work to do. I appreciate it. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and just share a little bit. I'm happy to have the conversation anytime you'd like to.
All right. Thank you, Speaker.
Thanks. Good luck.
I'm going to call her Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa. All right.
Oh, then he just calls her Lisa.
Yeah, then I did that. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years of life. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed, and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see 100 years ain't what it used to be. Oh, Johnny! If I use the wrong pillow, I might have trouble getting out of bed. My hair grows in my ears and nose now more than on my head. As a kid, to me, ancient history was something like World War I. But I arrived close to that time than this year as I sing this song. And I'm starting to find I can wrap my mind around life is brief and dear.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
I learned a lot from Lisa DeMuth.
Speaker?
Speaker DeMuth. The Democrats want to promise that, hey, let us seat Tabke and don't give us any grief about the 20 missing votes.
Right.
And just don't worry about the fact that we cheated in Roseville. We're going to have a special election, and we'll all be tied up. And DeMuth does not sound like she. I think I asked her twice. She intends to be the speaker for 2 years. So they come back at 67. They
Good for her.
Lisa is their speaker.
Do you have any predictions as to what the Minnesota Supreme Court will do? Because Simon threw this in their laps.
I think they're going to weigh in favor of the. Well, who knows how stacked the Supreme Court is, but I don't see why you wouldn't rule in favor of the Republicans.
Okay.
That would be the common sense thing to do.
We'll find out, as you can hear in the news shortly, that hearing they've set quickly.
Let's go right to John Haidt.
Straight?
Straight to him.
Straight to him. Straight to me. Thank you, Joe. In news, we talked about it, you heard with the speaker. The new budget proposal is out from Governor Walz. I'll just hit some of the bullet points here for you. Walz proposing cutting the statewide sales tax by 0.075%, so 3/4 of a percentage. If approved, it would be the first sales tax cut ever in Minnesota history. His budget proposes an increase in the surcharge currently levied on health maintenance organizations from 0.6% to 1.25% of total premium revenue to ensure large healthcare corporations pay their fair share. Walz says the budget will limit year-over-year growth rates in Medicaid waivers without limiting eligibility for services, saving the state $1.3 billion. He says budget cuts, state funding to private schools includes a 5% reduction in special ed transportation reimbursement costs, saving about $50 million in each of the next 2-year budget cycles, while incentivizing schools to create efficiencies in transportation. The budget includes an anti-fraud package. I was waiting there for the laughter.
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting for the anti-fraud group that has to go after the anti-fraud group.
So what are you guys going to do with all of that sales tax money that you're going to?
I'm trying to do the math and I can't.
I did. Well, I figured I went. Let's see. Let's say I go to the grocery store, buy $62 worth of groceries.
Yeah,
that'll save me 46 cents.
So, oh boy!
So basically,
he
only did that just to say he had a tax cut.
So, I cut taxes.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's other bullet points too, but you can read about them tomorrow in the paper. How's that sound?
Well, I believe Speaker DeMuth. Thank you. That
Speaker,
they're not tax hikes are off the board. They're not.
Well, they have to be.
They have to be.
Right?
We're doomed. This fellow is not. He should be impeached, and then hung out to dry, and put honey on him and let ants crawl.
Oh yeah, I
over.
love that part. That's a good.
And last year's tax raises should be cut too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me give you some numbers here. 2 years after seeing that record-setting projected surplus of $17.5 billion back in 2023, the Minnesota legislature will be faced with much less of a fiscal cushion this year, as state leaders projected a $616 million balance at the end of the fiscal year 26-27 biennium. According to the budget outlook released in December of last year, that's $1.1 billion lower than the previous forecast. So,
think how much money they're taking from you to do the state's business. They took $18 billion too much 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yep.
I still can't get past the fact that these Democrats are sitting in coffee shops and hanging around their apartments in underwear, and we're paying for it.
They're Porky paying it, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They're
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
The latest now, as we talked about a bit, the latest on the legislative squabble going on, the court consolidated petitions from the House Democrats and Secretary of State Steve Simon, who had separately asked the justices to nullify the Republicans' actions on the first day of the session. House Republicans, as we've heard, convened Tuesday and elected the Speaker without the DFLers present. Now, it shifted to the state Supreme Court, and they have scheduled an extraordinarily speedy hearing set for January 23rd. On the exceptionally fast schedule, the state Supreme Court gave House Republicans until 9 o'clock next Tuesday to file responses to the DFL petitions. Oral arguments on the matter set for 1 in the afternoon, January 23rd. That hearing will be live streamed, actually, also. On Wednesday, the House GOP met for a second day, and today, as you heard, they have met for a third day.
I have one procedural question.
Mm-hmm.
Did Simon say the DFLers should return?
I'm just going to ignore that and move on. A 13-year-old boy is in custody
That's a technicality.
After making threats toward Fridley Public Schools, causing classes to be canceled for 2 days in a row. The 13-year-old is currently being held at the Lino Lakes Juvenile Detention Facility. Fridley police say he was arrested in connection with what they called potential threats on various social media platforms. Pioneer Press reporting a St. Paul man has been put on probation after admitting that several of his dogs attacked and wounded a 7-year-old girl last winter. 38-year-old Marco Landaverde was sentenced in Ramsey County District Court after pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanors, failure to restrain the dogs from inflicting injury, and failing to have the dogs vaccinated for rabies. Judge Maria Mitchell set aside a 90-day jail sentence in favor of the 1 year of unsupervised probation. Sentencing terms include that Landaverde cannot own or care for a dog during his probation. He was also assessed $146 in fines and fees. He did surrender the dogs to City Animal Control the day after the attack. They were humanely euthanized, according to the criminal complaint. Central Minnesota woman has received a prison term topping 12 years for her role in a smuggling operation that funneled into the Midwest large amounts of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine supplied by one of the world's most notorious drug cartels. 35-year-old Tiffany Chiomani of St. Cloud sentenced Monday in U.S. District Court in Fargo to 12 3/4 years in prison. Her sentence followed the sentencing earlier this month of Michaela Kanat of St. Cloud, who received a 26-year sentence. In April, a federal judge handed down a 7.5-year sentence to Kanat's father, 53-year-old Jeffrey Kanat, for his part in the operation. The drugs in the operation came from Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's Sinaloa cartel in Mexico, according to prosecutors. Guzman is held right now. He was arrested and is in a supermax federal prison dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies in Florence, Colorado. A familiar name in Minnesota has resigned his position. Andy Lugar, officially now announcing his resignation as Minnesota U.S. Attorney, a decision that makes way for incoming President Donald Trump to name his nominee. Effective at 11:59 last night, Lugar's resignation capped the end of the Joe Biden-appointed attorney's second stint as the state's top federal prosecutor. Trump takes office Monday, the 20th, and is expected to nominate a replacement. Among the candidates, Erica McDonald, who served in the position during Trump's last term.
Why wouldn't he wait until Monday, I wonder?
Why not keep Lugar as long as he's finally got a handle on the fraud?
Yeah, no doubt. He's doing a great job, don't we think?
So far.
St. Cloud Mayor-elect Jake Anderson admits there's not much more his city can do to compel Donald Trump's presidential campaign to pay the $209,000 bill from his summer rally in St. Cloud. The bill remains unpaid after 2 invoices were sent to the campaign. Anderson said, "We're kind of limited in our recourse. Being candid, one of the fears that I have is that if we push too aggressively, suddenly any federal aid we may get and other things may start falling apart." Since Trump wasn't in office at the time of the campaign rally in July at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center, it was not considered an elected official visit. More than 8,000 people attended the rally on the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center on the campus of St. Cloud State University.
So Trump stiffed him.
No, here, listen, Joe, you've said many, many times that Trump is used to doing business the way they do it in New York, right?
Right.
So here's what the mayor does. The mayor gets his ear and says, look, you're going to take care of us maybe in other ways, or we're going to hit every social media platform and we're going to do it daily until you acquiesce and you pay us.
And Trump's going to say, you want to bet? Watch me cut off every dollar of federal funding you're going to get.
Trump is going to say, what do you need?
Yeah.
And then they're going to start getting funding. They'll never get paid back. So you can drop that. But
How
they
about
are going to
50
get
cents on the dollar. Trump will say, how about 50 cents on the dollar?
or they're going to get federal favors.
Yeah.
Johnny, what would have been the difference if he had been an elected official? That part of the story was a little confusing.
Then
to
it
me.
may be paid for by the government.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
Update to a story we had a while back. Unless the CEO of the second largest beer company in the country has a sudden change of heart, Wisconsin's historic Leinenkugels Brewery in Chippewa Falls will close tomorrow, and Leine's brewing operations will move to Milwaukee. And former brewery presidents Jake and Dick Leinenkugel offered to buy back the brewery this month from Molson Coors, saying in a statement they are committed to exploring every avenue to preserve this vital part of their history. The Molson Coors CEO, Gavin Hattersley, reportedly declined the offer, told the family the company is, quote, fully committed to the Leinenkugels brand.
For those of you interested, hopefully John will join Mike and I next week.
John Leinenkugel?
Mm-hmm.
National and international headlines. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said his cabinet won't meet to approve that agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of dozens of hostages until Hamas backs down, accusing the group of reneging on parts of the agreement in an attempt to gain further concessions. Netanyahu said a last-minute crisis with Hamas was holding up Israeli approval of the ceasefire. His office did not elaborate. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes across the Gaza Strip killed at least 72 people since the ceasefire deal was announced. Under the deal, 33 hostages were set to be released over the next 6 weeks in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians. The remainder, including male soldiers, are to be released in a second phase that would be negotiated during the first. Hamas has said it will not release the remaining captives without a lasting ceasefire and a full Israeli withdrawal. Senate committees questioning 6 of Donald Trump's top appointees yesterday over issues of war, political revenge, spycraft, electric cars, and lots more. Pam Bondi, Trump's choice for Attorney General in the day's main event, sparred with a couple of Democratic senators as she refused to acknowledge that Joe Biden won the 2020 election while stating she accepted that he was president. Among those with hearings today, former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Trump has picked him to head the Department of the Interior. Supreme Court on Wednesday divided over a challenge to a Texas law that requires pornography sites to verify the age of their users before providing access. Last year, I think we talked about this when it happened, a federal appeals court in New Orleans allowed the state to enforce the law, holding that it was rationally related to the government's interest in preventing young people from viewing porn. Apparently, did you guys read anything about this story?
No, I don't read about porn.
Sam Alito, the Supreme Court justice, asked, and half the people thought he was joking and half the people thought he wasn't joking, whether or not if you went to Pornhub, if they had articles like Playboy used to in interviews. So, yeah.
He doth protest too much.
Well, I have no idea what the answer is, do they?
Oh, thanks, Kenny.
Good one, Kenny. Good
we
one.
have a...
Can I watch that on my phone? Remember when he said that on Sports Talk?
Who said that?
You did to Royce.
Oh.
So John, we're expecting a 15-year-old goes to Pornhub.
Yeah.
He gets asked the question, and the 15-year-old is going to tell the truth?
I guess,
Yes, of
huh?
course they will.
I'm wondering.
Good one, Joe.
Of course they
Good
will.
one.
That's
All right,
fantastic.
John, thank you.
Hey, no, hang on a second,
Yeah.
Joe. If you
Yeah.
don't mind, we have
Yeah.
a couple of deaths.
I know
Oh,
exactly.
I'm sorry, Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker.
No.
Yeah.
Transformed his futility as a baseball player into a successful second career as a baseball broadcaster, humorist, and comic actor in television, film, and commercials, has died at the age of 90. The Brewers?
Well, New York, down, they did it. And the crew will have it end here tonight.
Really a crushing end to what was a fabulous season for the Milwaukee Brewers.
I'm telling you, that one had some sting on it.
Was that last season?
That was his final call.
So that's his final. Oh, God.
You remember how they lost that
Awful.
game?
Yes,
You guys
I
remember?
do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know how he said
No.
whenever I looked at the third base coach, he turned his back on me.
Yeah.
Then he said he signed with the Braves for $3,000, and that really pissed off his dad because his dad didn't have that much.
Yeah.
I don't got that kind of money.
I don't have that kind of money.
He said he was a great catcher when he caught Phil Niekro's knuckleball. He'd just let it roll to the backstop
Right.
and wait for it to stop and pick it up.
He had a great shoe contract and a glove contract with a company who paid him a lot of money, never to be seen using their stuff.
Remember, he was also a broadcaster with ABC, too.
Yeah.
He did Monday Night Baseball with Howard Cosell. When Cosell once asked him what the word truculent mean, Uecker said, I know what it means. He said, if you had a truck and I borrowed it, that would be a truculent.
Wait. I didn't know. I never heard that one.
He said when I was released, they broke it to me gently. The manager came up to me before the game and told me they didn't allow visitors in the clubhouse.
1985 to 1990, he starred on Mr. Belvedere, a sitcom. He also played Harry Doyle, of course, in Major League. A brilliant performance.
Just a bit outside.
He was on The Tonight Show over 100 times, becoming one of Johnny Carson's favorite guests.
And one of the best was when he trotted out the team photo.
Got it.
And him and Gibson were holding hands.
Wonderful.
This is
Obviously a team
This is a team picture that once a year they have these team picture days is what they are, and on this particular day, this cost Bob Gibson, one of the great pitchers in baseball. It cost him and I a couple $100. They had taken the picture and they had proofed it and everything, and then brought it back to the ballpark before they finally caught that scene there.
What? Can you come a little closer on that?
Well, Bob and I are holding hands.
We're gonna get a close shot of that. You certainly are, aren't you?
Didn't he say, isn't there another one when he walked out to the mound and Gibson said, the only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it? Wasn't that him?
Something like that.
And one other...
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
One other death that I just ran across. David Lynch, the four-time Oscar-nominated filmmaker, has died at the age of 78. His family posting the news on social media. He directed the very strange but wonderful Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, Wild at Heart, The Elephant Man, created Twin Peaks for Showtime. He earned Oscar noms for writing and directing The Elephant Man and for directing Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet. In 2000, he received an honorary Oscar for Lifetime Achievement. No cause of death was given. Lynch was 78.
John, our friend McLean, Dawn McLean,
Yep.
heartbroken today because Twin Peaks was her favorite ever movie, TV show.
I don't think I ever got into it.
I love his movies,
It's
man.
fantastic. Blue Velvet, oh my God, what a great movie.
Yeah.
I guess I'm in the front row.
He missed the tag.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
All right.
How about this?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the big day. Our first ever GLer of the week is going to be announced right here in Garage Logic. So here's the deal. If you've got an annual town council membership active, great. You are already eligible. But if you haven't done that yet, now's the time to upgrade. You can find out more. And by the way, you're going to get a $10 Fratelloni gift card as well. Just go to garagelogic.com and get that annual town council membership and become a GLer of the week.
Boy, a lot of people are reacting to when we mentioned, those talk like Bob Uecker.
Larry.
A lot of people are mentioning their memories of when I mentioned Jimmy Carter was the first president born in a hospital. It got many people thinking, and Gary writes, growing up, I had to sleep in the south bedroom in my grandparents' home on their farm in eastern Iowa. I was told babies were born in that bed as well as holding wakes there. Being the good Irish Catholics they were, my mother told me as a child they had to double up in bed on wake nights to leave a bed open in case the priest was too drunk to drive home.
Hey now.
Hey now. I can't get out of that bed.
Only because they come to us all the way from Lake Las Vegas, Nevada, and the traveling Lyman's. 2 lousy things today. 2. This state is, even in history, this state didn't do anything.
It's cold this time of the year.
On this day in 1874.
On Jan 16.
Wilmer Village was incorporated. Platted in 1869, the township was named for Leon Wilmer, a Belgian agent for European investors in the St. Paul and Pacific Railroad Company. Wilmer became a city in 1901. That's it. There's one more.
Wow.
On this day,
1-1-6.
in 1958, the Winona Daily News announced that 36 chinchillas, along with feed, cages, and other supplies, had been donated by a student and his father to the biology department of St. Mary's College to be used in research on improving the breed, whose fur was often made into expensive coats for women. That wouldn't have made the cut for me.
Yeah,
Neither of these would have made the cut for me.
I agree.
That was on this day, January 16.
That was this day on this day?
That's right.
This day on
That's
this
it, GLers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that really is. That's really amazing.
Please do us a favor and subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Man, oh man, are we getting a lot of great interaction on the Garage Logic YouTube channel because you can watch the show each and every single day right around noon. In fact, I got a great compliment about how good looking we are from somebody the other day.
Really? What about my
blind
shacket?
person, huh?
What about my shacket? I like my shacket.
No comments on your shacket, but I'm sure that will be a conversation piece on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us along on all of our social media channels. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search Garage Logic and sign up for the Daily Logician. An email comes right to your inbox each and every single day. It also includes, in some cases, a note from the mayor himself. It's called Saturdays with Sioux.
Oh, shoot, I was supposed to do that today.
And he is supposed to do that today.
I forgot. Get this guy from please.
Yeah.
Joe?
Me call him today.
Yeah, I will right now. I will right now.
Just go with Lisa DeMuth.
Well, we talked about other stuff before that. We had 2 whole segments.
Mention Uecker.
Bob Uecker, Lisa DeMuth, and
Kenny Olson.
no one being held
all you
responsible.
need.
It's all about Kenny.
No, it's because we've talked about it before. Just do Lisa DeMuth and John Hyde.
Okay.
And we lost Bob.
Speaker, Lisa.
How come we're not back up on the monitor?